I'm a pain management doctor. I'm usually not saving people's lives. I'm Dr. Ammon Hills. I help people in chronic pain to help decrease that pain and improve their function. Now, don't get me wrong, chronic pain can be very difficult to manage and can feel like the end of someone's life. Truth is, these people usually aren't on the verge of dying. This story today is when I found myself in an unexpected life or death situation. Although I don't have a lot of emergency situations in my job now, but in the real world, outside of medicine, you don't expect these things to happen. So let me tell you about how I helped save a life in the real world. So it started as just a regular Sunday. I got ready and went to church with my family. So we have two meetings where the first meeting everyone's kind of combined, and then the second meeting we split off into different classrooms. My job for that second part of church was to help teach the children. So I was sitting down with my little class, ready to teach, when someone came running in, very frantic, looking for me. Just by the look on his face, I knew something was wrong. As we were running towards the chapel, he was telling me that there was a gentleman who had passed out and had stopped breathing. We entered the room. I saw the gentleman laying on a bench, was not breathing, no pulse. Now the key to these code blue situations is remaining calm, because everyone else is either freaking out or so shocked that they don't know what to do. So staying calm helps you think and be able to do the things necessary to help save their life. So after that split-second assessment of the situation, we began CPR. 911 had already been called and help was on the way, but we still had to act to help this gentleman. So I immediately began chest compressions and found two other people available to help with CPR. If any of you have done CPR, you know that it's very tiring and difficult to do on your own, so it's very helpful if you can have other people there and if they know how to do it correctly. So I was able to switch out from doing compressions with another gentleman, and we had the third person helping to support the airway and give rescue breaths. So for him, we were doing 30 compressions to 2 breaths. As CPR was being performed, I was able to talk with the family members to get more of a medical history to see what kind of medical problems this gentleman had. Some things that I wanted to know: does he have diabetes? Does he have heart problems? What medications is he taking? Has this ever happened before? Gathering as much information as we can to try to figure out why he became unresponsive is very helpful and lets us know how to best improve his chances for survival. His wife and mother-in-law were able to provide some of this history to me, knowing that he had high blood pressure and high cholesterol, but relatively healthy otherwise. Oftentimes in public locations, there's something called a AED or defibrillator that can help bring a person back by giving them a shock to restore their regular heart rhythm. Unfortunately, in our case, we didn't have this immediately available. It seemed like forever that we were giving CPR, even though it was only like 6 minutes. But once the EMS arrived, they came, they cut off his church clothes, were able to hook him up to the defibrillator and analyze his heart rhythm. Found that he did indeed have an irregular heart rhythm, and were able to give him a shock to bring his pulse back. After he was somewhat stabilized, they were able to transport him to the nearest hospital. So when the first responders or EMS personnel arrive, they usually have someone gaining a history. So I was able to give him a report of all the events that had transpired. Luckily, this story had a good ending. The patient was stabilized. We were able to transport him to the hospital, where they're able to implant a defibrillator or pacemaker, which is basically a device that helps to shock his heart if it goes into an irregular rhythm again, to restore that normal heart rhythm. So after the fact, after he was out of the hospital and doing well, doesn't remember much or even really being at church that day. Only thing he remembers is waking up at the hospital, no clothes, only his cowboy boots. So this happened a few years back while I was in residency in Dallas, Texas. I was able to catch up with this gentleman just more recently to see how he's doing. He's loving life, still riding his motorcycle, and doing well. Hope you guys like this video. If you want to hear more of my medical stories, then click this video up here. And I'll see you guys next week.